Hello, welcome. If you are just joining us today, we are happy to have you here in our webinar. Our webinar today is Tips to Sleep Better During Quarantine. I am very happy to be here with you. We are excited to bring you another webinar as we are going to learn something new. I wanted to say and give you some little tips about how this webinar is going to work. So let me tell you that on the right side of the chat, on the right side of your screen, if you have a computer, we are going to be able to share information and say something to each other while we are listening to the presentation. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Claudia Tran Melgar. I am originally from Bolivia. I have a master in globalization and development communication. I am a technology instructor, a journalist. I am a mother, a wife, a sister, and daughter. I belong to a big family in Bolivia, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm also a volunteer in different nonprofit organizations. I'm passionate about social issues, and I love photography and technology. I am the vice president of the Bolivian Foundation for Social Development, it's in Bolivia with the partnership in Fundesoc, and I'm also a member and an ambassador of the GSL network. I am a member of More Latin America, and today I will be your moderator. So let me tell you a little bit about our speaker today. Our speaker is Dr. Erika Christine Treptow. She is a specialist in sleep medicine. She's a researcher located in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And she's going to be talking to us about tips to sleep better during the quarantine. I'm very excited about this topic. I will be taking some notes myself, and I hope that you are also, taking some notes because this is going to be a very interesting topic. And what would you learn in this presentation today? Well, we will be learning about healthy habits, about how to improve your sleep, some tips about sleeping during the quarantine, and habits that may be ruining your sleep. So we wanted to make sure that, like I say, we pay a lot of attention to this topic, especially now in these difficult times. Before we go to introduce our presenter today, let me tell you about two international organizations that are making possible that we bring this webinar today to you. Our webinar is in English, and we belong to the GSL network. And GSL network is an organization, international organization that has as a main goal to mentor young generations and promote initiative in the leadership, understanding, and respect of other cultures. GSL network, it was originally promoted as a program for student leadership that was born out of the idea of our mentor and our director, and the person that took a lot of initiative to bring this idea to many different parts of the world. And it was born with the support of Manhattanville College. That was in 2000. In 2000, over 200 students gathered from different parts of the country. Since then, many more other countries participate in this program of leadership. As alumni, we enjoy the gathering, and we definitely learn from this program different activities and different things that we took for our personal lives. So throughout these 20 years since the program started, GSL have a support from different organizations around the world that promote leadership programs. But in the year 2017, our mentor again came out with a great idea to find out what what we were doing, and how this program that started from 2000 impacted our lives. So she gathered all of us again, and let me tell you that was the beginning of many, many different projects and ideas. And that's how the GSL network was created, as a part of connecting these professional women that went to different parts of the world, and they were working and benefit from the original GSL student leadership program. So in this reunion, we try to brainstorm of ideas how we can continue to be the leaders of how to change the world, and how to mentor other young people and other students around the world to create this kind of programs to promote leadership around the world. So as a result, today in one of these kinds of seminars, we wanted to share with you some of the knowledge and our personal professional experiences. Some of these webinars that we are presenting to you and bringing to you are the result of this reunion back in 2017, and the connection that these professional women and leaders in their own world wanted to create to bring free knowledge to everybody in the world. So let me introduce you, Michaela Walsh. She is an activist, a scholar, a mentor, an educator, and an author. She was a pioneer woman and manager in different nonprofit organizations, and she is the founding president of Women World Banking. So thanks to Michaela, we are here with different kind of programs and different activities, because we were part of the original idea that she had in how to mentor young women in order to change the world, in order to motivate people to do this kind of programs around the world. So we wanted to thank you. But let me just share with you a little bit of this reunion, so you can see and hear the excitement of all the participants during our reunion. Thank you again for joining us. If you just joined us, we're going to share this video about our GSL reunion.
My name is Michaela Walsh. I'm from New York City. Was one of the founders of this global student leadership network of young women leaders around the world.
Professor Stellick here, Susan Stellick at NYU Stern. I teach in the Management Communication program. But back in 2001, I worked with Michaela Walsh, developing the Global Student Leadership Program.
What we have tried to do is make a breakthrough in understanding how it is now time for women to take their seat at the table as leaders and creating some new opportunities for women's leadership and for development in the world to create a more peaceful and secure world for all families, all women, and all children coming behind us.
What's so wonderful today is that I can see these young women and say, I am so proud to be a part of everything they're doing.
The GSL network is a network of strong young women from different backgrounds, as we come from different countries, different cultures.
Hello, I am Margarita Prada and I'm from
So I hope you have the chance to listen to the video, and most importantly, I hope you have the chance to see how excited we as a GSL alumni were to participate in this reunion, and how this reunion has been the seed for different activities and different projects that we have, and we start creating for around the world from different parts of the world. And as we mentioned in the beginning, GSL is just one of the organizations that is supporting this. The other organization that is supporting this project is More Latin America. More Latin America, it's a platform that supports mindfulness, opportunities, resiliency, and equality. More is a project that helps empower women through free online training. You can follow us in More Facebook, More Instagram, More YouTube, and different platforms that we share education, free education tool, a platform for you to share your own ideas, and also to promote the understanding of different cultures and different people. So you can see the link on our platform, and I can see some people is still joining us. So happy to see you. Again, if you just join us now, my name is Claudia Tran Melgar. I am originally from Bolivia, and I'm excited about being the moderator for this webinar today, where we're going to learn so many different things about how to improve and how to have a better sleep during these difficult times. Everything and everybody around the world are struggling with the virus. So just to remind you, before we go to our presenter, our speaker, Erika, we will be giving you a certificate of participation. And the only thing we ask you before you exit the webinar today is please to be present and listen and take some notes, but also fill out a little survey that we will present to you at the end of the presentation. The survey, it will help us to get some of the feedback, your opinion, your ideas, and if you like this kind of webinar, this is the best way that you can support us. So your certificate, it will be sent to your email address, and it will be emailed to you. So thank you again for letting me be your presenter today, and excited to present Erika. And let me bring you her presentation right now. Let me bring Erika. So we will be ready to speak to her. So we invite Erika to join us with her camera.
Hello.
Hi, Erika.
Hello.
I'm so excited to see you. Erika and I have not seen each other in person since our reunion in 2017.
Yeah.
She is joining us from Sao Paulo, Brazil, correct?
Yes, Sao Paulo, Brazil, yeah.
And I am all the way in New Jersey, United States. So there she is. She is ready to bring the presentation. I'm going to be in the background. And thank you. I see so many people join us right now. So if you have any questions during the presentation, make sure that you can start typing it. And at the end of her presentation, Erika will give us some extra minutes to be able to answer our questions. So Erika, the whole floor is for you, and welcome again, and excited, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank Claudia Tran Melgar, also Claudia Dominguez, and Raisa Castillo for this opportunity of being here today with you. And we are going to talk about a subject that I love, that is sleep. And especially we are going to talk about sleep during these difficult times. So the title of my presentation is going to be Tips to Sleep Better During the Quarantine. And also, I would like to congratulate the organizers of More Latin America and from GSL Network, because they are promoting a lot of free webinars And I'm sure that those webinars, they are helping a lot of people to feel better and to feel fulfilled during these difficult times. So, as Claudia mentioned, my name is Erika Treptow. I was actually born in the south of Brazil, but I've been living in São Paulo for the last few years. And I am a sleep specialist, specialist is in sleep medicine. And I am currently working mostly with clinical research. And my clinical research is about insomnia, also with sleep apnea, and excessive daytime sleepiness. I also work with the diagnosis of sleep disturbances. For example, with sleep studies like polysomnography, there is an exam that you spend the whole night and we study all your sleep. And another thing that I love to do is teaching. And I had the honor to be part of the first edition of GSL Network in the year 2000. And we were 25 women from Latin America. And when we got together again in 2017, I was sure that during all those years, because we never lost communication, we became a family. And I'm sure that all these webinars and all the things we are trying to do together, it's part of what we learned and what we got from those times. And I can say that I am a more open-minded person after this meeting. And maybe this has also to do with what I'd like to do as my hobby. One of the things that I love to do is traveling and trying to get trying to get to know different cultures, taste different flavors, see a lot of people. And another thing that I love is photography. And also one of the things I like to do in my free time is running. And it's weird that we never notice how those things are important in our lives until the time they are taken away, because now we can't go free outside and we can't do those activities outdoors. So that's the time that we really feel the things that we like. And I know that we are in different time zones. We come from different cultural backgrounds, but I am totally sure that there are some things that we have in common. And tonight I would like to talk about two of those things. And I'm sure that it's difficult for all of us to go through this pandemic. And this is one of the things I would like to talk about. And also, I know that all of us will want a good night of sleep. So, the learning goals of this webinar will be exactly to talk about that. How quarantine impacts our sleep. And what can we do? What are some healthy habits we can have to improve our sleep? And sometimes we have some habits that we don't even notice. And sometimes they are daily habits and they have been there for years and years, and they may be ruining our sleep. So we are going to try to clarify and to make things better during this presentation. And to start, I would like all of you to take a look at those pictures to see if those pictures are familiar to you. Do you see yourself in any of these activities? You can answer in your in the chat if you want. And I would like to know, do you remember like 2 or 3 months ago, your meetings at work, going out with your friends for a drink, taking the kids to school, going outside for a physical activity like running, going on vacation, spending some leisure time with your family outdoors? Isn't this what was our life before? Wasn't this so colorful, so full of life? And this was our daily living. And then all of a sudden, things changed. And they changed without warning, and they changed fast. And we found ourselves in home confinement. And with home confinement came a lot of things, a lot of worries. Um, One of the worries that came was worry about our health, the health of our loved ones, and also We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know when it's going to finish, how it's going to finish. And we had to stay a lot of time inside of our homes. And also we started worrying about the stability of our jobs and all the other things that could happen. And not only that, we had to start learning new tasks. For example, homeschooling. How many mothers are telling everyone how difficult it is to do homeschooling, to be a good wife, to do all the home tasks, everything at the same time? And it all came together. And when we have a situation like this, and we've never had something so crucial before, we have a lot of worries. We get stressed, we get depressed. And I would like to know if you could answer me on the chat. Have you been having difficulties to sleep in the last 5 weeks or last month? Did anything change in your sleep? Are you sleeping more? Are you sleeping less? This is good to know because don't worry, you're not alone. Many of us, we are having trouble to sleep nowadays. And these troubles, they come because all those worries we kept thinking about during the daytime, when we go from the living room to the bedroom, we take them with us. They come with us to the bedroom. They don't stay in the couch. And people start complaining about difficulties falling asleep, waking up during the night, and sometimes when they wake up during the night, they spend a lot of time trying to go back to sleep and also waking up too early, like 4 in the morning, you wake up and you can't sleep anymore. So, what are those? Those are the symptoms of insomnia. And this is what's happening now. A lot of people are complaining about symptoms of insomnia. And a survey that happened in China during the pandemics saw that there was an increase in the prevalence of insomnia that went from 26% to 33%. And even the people that already had insomnia, they got worse during this time. So, what don't we know until now? We don't know if those are going to be mostly acute symptoms that we are going to feel just right now, or if we are going to take them with the time and they are going to chronify. And what the studies have seen is that there are people who are at higher risk of having chronic insomnia and also post-traumatic syndrome. And who are those? Especially women. And women, we have already the prevalence of insomnia is higher for women than for men. People younger than 35 years old, people that watch a lot of news, that spend the whole time listening to things about COVID-19. And the number they say it's 3 hours a day. And when we look at this number, it looks like, oh, that's a lot of time. I don't watch news this much. But uh, think about it. From the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, how many times we see on the TV news about COVID-19? How many times we talk about it with our family, friends, and colleagues? How many times we read something on the cell phone about COVID-19? So if we count all of those times, maybe it may be getting close to 3 hours a day. So it's a lot. And also people who already had a history of insomnia or psychiatric illness, those are more prone to have chronic problems. And besides all of our worries, how the pandemic can impact so much our sleep. The problem is that all this home confinement disrupt our circadian rhythm. And what is the circadian rhythm? Well, circadian is a Latin word that comes from circa, that means around, approximately, and dien, that means day. So it's about a day. That's the way that most things in our body function in regular cycles of 24 hours. And especially the sleep and awake cycle, we turn in 24 hours. We go from the time we are awake, from the time we are asleep. And we have a master clock, a biological internal clock that is called the suprachiasmatic nuclei and is located inside of our brain in a place called hypothalamus. And he is the master. He controls and regulates all this biological rhythm. But the problem is, in this time of that we are passing now, in these difficult times, we have troubles in regulating this internal clock. So we need some external cues to help us to know when it's time to go to bed, when it's time to be awake. And those are what we call the Zeitgebers. Zeitgebers comes from a German word that is time givers. They are the synchronizers, they are the external synchronizers of our internal clock. Those things that help us to stay in this cycle of 24 hours. And what are those things? Light, exercise, food intake, and temperature are the most important. And when we talk about light, we come to the place where we are going to talk about some healthy habits to improve our sleep. And I usually say that a good night of sleep begins in the morning. When we wake up, we should get in contact, especially with natural daylight. Natural daylight gives us the sense our body feels that it's daytime, that it's time to be awake, that it's time to be active. And also, it reduces the amount of stress and anxiety that we have. And one very important thing now that we don't need to go out to, for example, to take 1 hour to get to our work, we can wake up slowly, have a nice breakfast, get this daylight, talk to our family, start slowly our day. But then I would like to recommend you something. And this might be difficult in this time. Please try to dress in a formal way, even at home. It must be so much more comfortable to stay in our pajamas the whole day. But many psychological studies, they have proven that if we dress formally, we feel more confident during the day. We get more productive during the day. So it's very important that we try to keep a routine, especially in all those things that we used to do. And why do I say that? Because we don't have control of what is happening outside in the world, but we do have control of what is happening inside our homes. So it's very important to try to keep a routine of regular times to wake up, regular time to have our meals, to talk with our friends, to even to work. And the one way that we can organize this routine is making a to-do list. We can make this to-do list one day before or even that day in the morning, and this will help us. And one other way this is going to help us is because during the day, when we take a look at this list and we see all the things we have already accomplished, we are going to be very confident. We are going to be very happy about it. And for those who do have to work at home, yes, keep your working schedule. But some people, when they start, like, for example, their Zoom meetings, when they need to talk about work, they call their friends because at work they used to go for a coffee, for a cup of coffee. And then, okay, now you can have a phone call and you can drink your coffee together, each one of your in your own rooms. And now that we also have more time at home, one other thing we can do is try to follow our natural rhythm. For example, wake up a little later. Even if you want to go to bed a little later, as far as you don't mess up and you don't do it anytime each day, it's okay to understand a little bit more of your body, of your needs. The other thing I would like to ask you is try to stay active during the day. And what do I mean by stay active? It's like do some things that you like. your hobbies, play with your kids, try to do some sports. Now, of course, you're not going to run a marathon inside your apartment, but now there are many online programs for you to start some activity with no equipments. Try to have a little bit of fun. I know it's hard time, but we need to keep having positive thoughts. And one other thing that staying active is really important for your sleep is because our body understands that it's daytime, that we need to do something, that we need to stay active. If we stay just watching TV, just sitting on the couch, our body is going to think, oh, maybe it's time to sleep. And then you get sleepy and you get tired and you get a little bit of fatigue. And then when you go to bed at night, when you're supposed to go to bed and to go to sleep, and then you'll be awake because you didn't spend that much energy during the day. Another thing that is really important in this time is social support, especially for those people living alone. Social support diminishes the feelings of loneliness. It also improves sleep quality. And in my family, for example, this time was a great opportunity for us to talk to the others that live far away. We started doing some family reunions and we got to talk to each other, and it was great. And social support is really important also for the people who are the frontline workers. A study from the past, from the time of 9/11, showed that those frontline workers that kept watching a lot of news and reading a lot of what was going on, they had a lot of nightmares during the night. They had a lot of awakenings during the night. And those that decided, no, I'm just going to talk a little with my family, I'm going to share my feelings, those slept a lot better. This is proven. And if it's difficult for you to talk to other people, to share your feelings and thoughts, try to write them down. Make a diary of worries and have your worry time during the day. Take like 15 to 20 minutes that you're going to think of all the things you are afraid, of all the things that are making you anxious and sad. Take one time of the day and do that, and then you can move on. So, this is very important. And when it comes to the end of the day, I'd like to invite you to try to decelerate. Try to start relaxing. Do something comfortable. For example, with something like mindfulness, yoga, reading a book, listening to some music. Your body needs to start understanding that it's getting close to bedtime. And this is a ritual. And this is a ritual that we need to maintain every time. It's not only during the quarantine. Those are tips for life. Those are tips not only for now. So this is very important. When you look at this place, when you look at this photo, doesn't it look comfortable? Doesn't look like nice or warm place, a place that is good to sleep. And this is very important. One of the things that we talk is that you should optimize your bedroom environment. And how do we do that? We try to reduce as much as possible the noises from outside. Also, the temperature is important. We should maintain the temperature in our bedroom around 18 to 22 degrees Celsius. This is important because the decrease in temperature in our body is another thing that facilitates the start of our sleep. And luminosity. We should try to keep our rooms as dark as possible. All those things will help us to sleep easier when it comes to nighttime. But of course, we do have the good things to sleep, and we also have the bad things when we talk about sleep. And some habits that we have, they may ruin our sleep. And what are those habits? One of the things we talk a lot nowadays is about the use of electronic devices during the night. And what do I mean by that? Your cell phone, the screens of your cell phone, your tablets, and also the screens of the television and your computers, they have what we call blue light. This blue light, it enters through our eyes and it goes to a place inside of our brain. There is called the pineal gland, and this pineal gland is responsible for the release of melatonin. And melatonin, you probably know that melatonin helps us to start our sleep. It's a hormone that helps us to understand it's time to go to bed. And how is the release of melatonin? It increases when we have dark. And of course, we think it's really good to be connected and to be talking, but I would like to invite you for one thing. Try to have a free device hour. And if possible, try to have 2 hours before you go to bed, just free of any device. Another thing that is important is to respect your bed. Bed is supposed to be used for two things. There's sexual activity and sleep. And just that. Your bed is not a place for work, it's not a place for watching TV, it's not a place for having your meals. This is very important because if we don't do this separation of what is my living room, where is my office going to be during this time, we can't do all things in bed. We should get out of bed in the morning and go back to bed at night. That's very important. Another thing that I would like to talk to you about is that there was worldwide an increase of the ingestion of alcoholic beverages during quarantine. Of course, we are listening to a lot of bad news, and one thing that we like to do is to relax, and a lot of people count on alcoholic beverages to do that. It's okay if you need to take a glass of wine during the day or to have a beer. It's okay, but try not to do it close to your bedtime. This is very important. Why do I say that? Because alcohol, it has a sedating effect, actually. It helps you to start your sleep. But as soon as you start your sleep, alcohol will make it worse. We have what we call sleep stages during the time we sleep. And we pass through these stages and we have a percentage of the night of each one of them. And alcohol reduces what we call REM sleep. REM sleep, REM is the word that we use for rapid eye movement, and REM sleep is very important for restorative. It's very important for us to feel restored the next day. So if we drink something, we decrease our amount of REM sleep. We also have more awakenings during the night. Alcohol relaxes our musculature and we may have problems during the night. Don't you remember any time that you drank a little bit more than you should and you start snoring during the night? That's very common. And for some people, this may be worst. It may worse, for example, a condition that we call sleep apnea. So this is very important. If you are going to drink something, try to drink it at least 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed. This is really, really important because if not, the other day you're going to feel dizzy, you're going to feel bad. This is not good for your sleep. And if they are selling more alcoholic beverages for people to drink, especially during the night, during the day, we are consuming a lot more of stimulating beverages like coffee, like Coke, and also things that we are eating. Now that we are inside of our homes, we have the refrigerator free for us, available food all the time. And this is also important. In France, there was a study during the quarantine that saw that people gained an average of 2.5 kilograms during this time. Of course, we are less active, we are more anxious. What do? We eat. And in terms of coffee, coffee has a lot of caffeine. And caffeine, it has a problem. It blocks a neuromodulator that we call adenosine. Adenosine facilitates the start of our sleep, and coffee blocks it. So that's a problem. And don't forget that it's not only coffee. We also have, for example, black tea has a lot of caffeine. We have green tea. We sometimes we don't think about it, but green tea also has a lot of caffeine. And if you want to have some warm drink during the night, to drink something that might be relaxing during the night, try a cup of warm milk. Milk has tryptophan, there is a substance that might help the start of sleep. Also, you can drink some herbal tea. What do I mean by herbal tea? Like chamomile, for example. But another thing I would like to ask you to avoid is avoid drinking too much, even if it's alcohol or not, close to bedtime. Because if not, you're going to wake to go to the bathroom too. And this is another thing that happens. And if you wake up during the night and you are having problem going back to sleep, then you should not stay in bed. You should go to the bathroom, you should read something, but don't do something that is very stimulant during the night if you wake up. Just try to breathe, try to remember that sometimes we wake up during the night, but we need to try to get it easily to go back to sleep. And one last thing that is very important, and I would like to talk to you, it's about sleep and our immune system. Well, unfortunately, we don't have yet a great medication to fight the virus. We don't have a vaccine, but we do know that sleep is part of the armor to fight against COVID-19. How do we know that? During our sleep, when there is rest, when there is quiet, our body is still working. And one of the things is our body is producing is our cells that will fight the pathogens like bacteria, like virus. And we are producing cytokines that are some cells that fight those pathogens. And one study that was made in 2015, at that time they took 164 volunteers and they exposed them to a virus. And they looked after some days who were going to develop a cold or not. And this was a very interesting study because what they found out that those that slept less than 7 hours and those that had what we called a bad quality of sleep, a bad sleep efficiency during the night, they were more than twice. They were more likely to have a cold than those who slept well. So this is very important. To have a good night of sleep will help you to stay healthier. And also, if you do get sick, it will help you to heal better. Nowadays, worldwide, there are tons of studies trying to make people who are at the hospital, who are staying at the hospital because they are sick, to try to make them sleep better. So this is very important. So I would like to finish talking to you talking for us to remember all the things that we talk about, the tips to sleep better during quarantine. I will tell you, I think the most important one is the first one. Try to keep a regular nighttime and wake up time schedule. Try to keep a routine. Our body understands better. Our circadian rhythms work better when we keep a routine. This has a lot to do with discipline too. And it's important to try to keep those regular times to sleep better and to be better during the day also. Try to get the natural daylight, especially during the day, especially during the morning. Stay active during the day. Do something, do some sports, do some hobby. This is very important to raise your heart rate during the day. I would also ask you if please in touch with your friends and family. The social support is very important, and we are all going through this. all of us, and we have different worries, but we have different common things to share too, and it's very helpful. Remember what we talked, that nutrition affects your sleep. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that try not to have heavy meals at night, because then your organism will need to function a lot more during the night, and it's going to get harder to sleep too. Minimize the use of electronic devices, especially 2 hours before you go to bed. And try to do the same with your kids. This is very important with kids and teenagers. The cell phone should never go to bed with us. Limit the amount of time that you get exposed to the news. Of course, we need to be informed, but we need to take care of our mental health. And to be in contact with a lot of news the whole time is not good for our health. And one last advice I would give you is try to be kind to yourself. What do I mean by that? We can't force sleep. It's not so easy. We can't go to bed and say, okay, now I turn off and I'm going to sleep. So if you don't sleep well tonight, maybe the next night is going to be better. So take your time, breathe. Remember that now it's the time when we need to take one day at a time. And finally, I would like to thank you for your attention and to tell you that this time is challenging and we had to adapt a lot. 2 weeks ago, I turned 40, and the first idea was to have a party with my friends, or maybe we were going to be traveling the whole family together. Well, this didn't happen, but we tried, my boyfriend and I, to have a little celebration at home. We got on a web meeting with our family and we tried to smile. We try to have positive thoughts, and we'll try to keep going. And those are all my social media, so we can get in contact. If we can't answer all the questions now, and if you want to send a question later, I will be really happy to answer. And with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer all the questions you might have.
Erika, thank you so much. Your presentation was wonderful. You did not only give us a few tips, you gave us a lot of information in how we can get into a better night's sleep. And my favorite, it was your last one. We have to be kind to ourselves, because sometimes when we have a hard time sleeping, my experience is when I cannot sleep, I get, upset that I'm just looking at the clock over and over, and I cannot sleep. But we do
Oh,
have.
and it just came with one thing that is also important. It's been proven that we should not look to the clock when we wake up at night, because this increases the anxiety. So if you don't look at the clock and just try to turn and try to go back to sleep, it's a lot better.
Awesome, awesome. And we do have a lot of questions that are still coming, and so we have some time for you to answer these questions. So
Yeah.
the first one, it was I think this person was Cindy, that she was asking about if I get what can I do if I want to go back to sleep if I woke up too early? Like, what should be your advice if somebody wakes up too early? She says she wakes up at 4 in the morning and she wants to go back to sleep. What she should do?
Well, one of our advices is to, when you get up and it's too early and you take more than 15 minutes to go back to sleep, get up. Get up and do something, but do something relaxing. Do something like you go to the bathroom, you take a sip of water, or you try to read one page of something nice, like a poem or something nice. And usually your body is going to feel, oh, I think now I'm okay. I think now I will go back to sleep. It was so nice in my bed. And then you can try again. And sometimes it helps, sometimes it works. And if you feel that, no, There is no way I can do this. Try to get up, like, try to start your day slowly, one step at a time, and you open one window and then you start getting a little bit of light. Like, for example, if it was the natural time that the light is coming out. So this is another thing that helps.
And I forgot to mention, happy birthday. I hope you had
Yeah.
a wonderful time. So
Thank
love
you.
your picture. You love your picture. I'm going to correct myself. That question was from Grace. Actually,
Mhm.
Grace wrote that question. And somebody said, how many hours of sleep should I get?
Well, this is a very important and difficult question to answer because it depends. It depends on your age, especially. You know that kids, they need a lot more of sleep than we do. And for example, for kids, sometimes they need 10 hours of sleep a day because they're still developing. Their brain, their body is still developing. And also teenagers. Teenagers usually have what we call a delayed phase. They usually sleep later, they wake up later. And this is not just because they are lazy or because they want to be partying at night. This is part of the physiology. And for an adult, what we say usually we need 7 to 9 hours per sleep, but we know that this may vary, but usually it's 7 to 9 hours. And when we start getting older, sometimes we need less sleep. But it's important. Try not to get more than 10 hours of sleep, less than 5 hours, or less than 6 hours, I would say, because this might give you a worse health. You might be more prone to have some comorbidities like cardiovascular diseases. So, this is very important.
Well, this is a big question, and this one is from Cindy. And she is asking, when you have a lot of stress, and I try to exercise, but I get tired and go to sleep, and in the morning, I realized that I did not sleep well because you're in pain from all the tension that you have. Do you have any suggestion that can help her to sleep better?
One of the things that she said is important. That she said that when she does a lot of stress and exercise at night. During when it's nighttime, we should try not to exercise close to our bedtime because this interferes with this drop in our body temperature that will help us to start sleep. I don't know, was this the question? Did I understand it correctly?
I think
She
so.
said,
I think,
yeah.
yeah.
So when you exercise, try to exercise at least 3 or 4 hours before you go to bed. Because if you don't, this may interfere with the beginning of sleep. This is important too.
Oh, I would love my sister to be in this one. She is a late night exerciser, so she will be exercising at night, and she does go to bed a little later, but definitely, she is very active. So
We know that
different style.
our performance in terms of sports and sometimes our mental performance in the afternoon it's usually better, but in the beginning and in the middle of the afternoon, not in the end of the afternoon. So we should try to do something like that requires a lot of concentration or physical activity, but at least 3 or 4 hours before we go to bed.
Also, someone is asking about what do you think, Erika, about taking melatonin before bedtime?
Well, melatonin, we know that melatonin helps, is a natural hormone that we have that helps you to start sleeping. It facilitates the sleep. But for some people, melatonin helps, especially, remember when we talk about the circadian rhythms? There are some people that they have a disorder, a sleep disorder, that their rhythm doesn't cycles so well. So sometimes they take a lot of time to go to bed, and the other day they change the time, and it's harder. So it's better as a regulator of our circadian rhythm. And the studies and all the guidelines, the American guideline, the European guideline, they don't have enough proofs to recommend melatonin for sleep, for as a sedating drug. And now there are some studies with older people, because when we are over 55 years, we start producing less melatonin. So maybe for these people, it might have some effect in terms of insomnia symptoms, but not for the younger ones.
Okay, thank you. That was very informative, also for me. Thank you. So I think we have time for the last question. Somebody said, and in this question, pretty sure that my children have to do with these questions, because they said, if I cannot sleep during the weekday, should I sleep more on the weekends?
Well, sometimes, for example, for people that work a lot or need to travel to work, they feel like, okay, if I try to compensate during the weekend, it's going to be good. It helps a little, but we should try to keep that regularity we talked about. So we call it like a social jet lag, this thing that we sleep like 5 hours during the week and then 8 hours during the weekend. This is not good. So it's better to try to keep this regularity. Sometimes, okay, you're going to sleep 30 minutes more, 40 minutes more, but when it passes 1 hour, the difference between the amount of time you sleep during the weekdays and the weekends, this might be a problem. This might be even worse to regulate. For example, when you sleep a lot during the weekend, what happens Sunday night? You can't go to sleep, and then Monday morning you have to work. So the regularity is really, really important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Carolina is asking, do you have any advice for people that works until nighttime? How can they sleep better? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of problems with people, like, for example, shift workers and like the frontline workers that are working until late. Try to, when you get back to your home, try to have the place as calm as possible, as dark as possible. Do some relaxing things. If you need to work until late, don't try to get back at home and do something like really exciting. Try to calm down as soon as you can. This is important. And if possible, try to sleep a little more in the morning, just to keep those minimum of hours that we need to sleep.
Erika, I wanted to say thank you so much. This is such an interesting topic. I'm pretty sure our audience definitely enjoyed all the information that you share with us. And the questions are still coming, but we are almost into the hour of a webinar, and we wanted to respect people's time. And we wanted to say thank you from More Latin America, and thank you from GSL Network for being with us today. So we hope to have you again. Thank you.
I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity. And as I said, keep sending questions. We are going to answer later in our emails or anything like that. Thank you for the opportunity, and congratulations for all the nice work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And as we say bye to Erika, we want to invite you to do a survey, and please answer these questions as you can see on your screen. They're going to be very simple questions. I'm going to give you some time and privacy so you can answer. And again, remember, follow our platforms, GSL Network online, and More Latin America so far is in Spanish, but we are pretty sure that we have information for you that can be very helpful. So if you speak Spanish, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. And if you love the topic, we